For those in this meeting is being recorded and transcribed.
All right, well, welcome everyone to the BPAC meeting, first meeting of the year. We're going to just hop into our agenda now. You can see there. We're going to go around and do introductions since it's been a year, just to refresh everyone, and then I'll turn over to Gail for the roll call. So, Mr. Kubicki, would you like to start down there?
Sure, John Kubicki, citizen at large. You looking for anything else or just?
That's it. That's
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Chris Fillerhoff, with Hillsborough County Community and Infrastructure Planning.
Sally Thompson, citizen at large.
Elaine Watson with the Environmental Protection Commission, Hillsborough County. John Marsh, City of Tampa Transportation. Jim Sherman, member at large.
Tim Horst, citizen at large.
Karen Corcoran, Planning Commission staff.
David Ellsworth, member at large.
Noliana James, Department of Health.
All right, well, that's everyone that is with us in person. So, is there anyone online that would also like to partake in this?
Abigail Flores, Hillsborough County Engineering and Operations.
Dave Saletti, citizen at large.
Jonathan Ford, remote.
Samantha Flores with City of Plain City Engineering Department.
Does anybody have audio on their computers? You'll need to mute everything.
I took care of muting it.
Thank you.
I do believe that is all the members that are online as well. Oh, actually, Daniel Rodriguez, you can unmute yourself if you like. From Hart, go ahead and you can introduce yourself if you want. Okay, Daniel Rodriguez from Hart is also online.
Okay, thank you. We can move on now, Gail, to the roll call. Any additional roll calling you need to do, and then you can let us know about the quorum as well.
You got it. All right, Tim Horst.
Here.
Jim Shirk.
Here.
Katrina Corcoran.
Here.
Christopher Fellerhoff.
Here.
Abigail Flores.
Here.
Corporal Anderson. Nolianda James.
Here.
Elaine Watson.
Here.
John Marsh.
Here.
Jamie Morris. Samantha Flores.
Here.
Daniel Rodriguez. Yeah, I've got him online. Jason Jackman. Brenton Mosier. Jonathan Forbes. Peter Davitt. He's been coming in and out online, but I do have him. David Aylesworth.
Here.
Faye Miller. Victoria Klug. Martin Santiago, aka Mike Disco. Sally Thompson.
Here.
And David Saletti.
Here.
And we do have an in-person quorum.
All right, thank you, Gail.
We have a forum.
Sure. I didn't hear my name in there.
Oh, you get John Kubicki?
Yes, I've got him.
All right, next, if we have any public comment, now's your time to do that. Got 3 minutes per speaker. Hearing none, we can go on to the members' interest and future topic requests. If there's anything here that anyone would like to bring up in person or online, now's the time for that. I do want to mention that, there were some revisions to the FDM that came out regarding the bicycle facilities and the design criteria that's in there. And those are some really positive revisions and changes that really, I would say, advance the manual when it comes to designing well for, basically separated bicycle lanes, shared use paths. So that's gonna be something that is really good news that I have kind of seen come out of the department. So I just wanted to share that good news with you guys and know that we'll be able to better, advocate to FDOT for those types of improvements using their own design manual, which now advocates for barrier separated bike lanes, for instance, for anything at 40 miles per hour and above. Being with like a concrete traffic separator and also using like delineators for lower speeds. Kind of doing the reference for like the shared use path for higher speed facilities as well. So I want to share good news.
Chair Peter Davitt has his hand raised.
Oh, hey, Peter. You joined us. Go ahead and share. I didn't know you were here.
Hello, this is Peter Davitt. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. There's been no critical mass this week because one ride leader is unavailable and I'm out sick. We've postponed our ride to the Friday the 2nd, 2/24. So if you're interested in riding with us, come on out. Hopefully the weather will be nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, so now we can go on to the approval of minutes from our last meeting way back in November 29th. So we have comments or a motion in a second.
This is Jim Sharp. I move we approve the minutes as written and in the handout.
Jim, do we have a second?
Trina Corcoran will second.
Trina? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And all those. Right, and then, yeah, likewise, if anyone online would like to vote, now's your time for that. So we have one Peter contribute that way, so. All right, well, hearing no opposition, the motion passes. So we can go ahead and move on to our action items. First up is the election of officers and the attendance review and declaration of vacancies. So then that's all you need.
Okay, so it's our election month again, and we don't just need to elect new officers, but after that, we'll be following up with adding a new at-large member to BPAC. So a couple things on our plate. I'll try to get through them efficiently. I guess, so as you all know, we have a chair, a secretary, and an at-large officer. And I was thinking that one way we could go about handling this is just get a show of hands for each position, see who's interested in stepping up to run. Obviously, we want everyone who's interested to step forward. But let's just get a sense of how we should handle the elections from that. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just go through each one. Do we have anybody who would like to run for chair?
Peter?
Peter?
I hear you. I hear you. I don't see myself being volunteered, am I? That's my mistake for not going to the meeting, huh?
It'd make it easier if you're in the meeting. They're gonna chat with you about this prior.
Yeah.
But it's not something you're interested.
I think what we did last year was there was a motion to accept the same slate, and we kind of moved forward. I don't know if Jim and Tim are interested in serving again, I'd be happy to work with them another year. But if somebody else is interested in, you know, the officer at large position, I'm happy to let somebody else do it.
We think you're right for a promotion if you're willing to take it. I don't see there's no other hands in the room, I'll just tell you that.
I saw Tim's hand was up.
My hand. Well, I mean, if I'm the only one that'll do it, I'll do it again, so. Yeah, we're just throwing the opportunity out there to our rising officers.
No, I hear you. Not this year. I'm willing to do it next year.
Write that
You can
down.
write that. You can write that down. I'm willing to take it next year.
All right, appreciate that. All right, well, any other? Yep,
This is Jim Sharp, I'll stick with my job.
okay, all right, we'll just stick with everyone's rules there.
Do you need a motion or did he make a motion?
Well, I guess, Ben, you want to go through the other positions as well.
Yes, but it seems like right now we're just having you as the candidate for chair so far. I think we're reaching consensus here, but I'll go through it. So anybody for secretary or, it's gonna stick. It is. You feel free to make a motion.
Okay, I move we accept the slate of officers proposed by Ben Gordon.
Second,
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Second was by Sally Thomas.
Thompson.
By Jim Sharp, sorry. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Right, hearing not, we will continue with the positions as they were last year, so.
It's a great victory.
Thanks, everyone. I guess I'm doing a good enough job.
That's right.
All right.
All right,
Okay, so next up is, and thank you to everyone who stepped up to serve again. But our next step is handling attendance review. So I will get out the sheet just like we went through last year.
Your purple are excused, right?
Yes.
Ben, if you're doing that on the screen, can you please share the screen
Yes,
so
yes.
people online can see? Thank you.
All right. There we go.
I'm going to try to make this full screen so that everyone can see it better. Let's see.
I've got one of those here.
So I think that this right column is probably one of the most important ones to get through. And I think our rule was that 3 consecutive absences was sufficient to declare the seat vacant, 3 unexcused absences. So based on that,
move it so we can see it a little better.
yeah, I'm sorry, should have printed these.
Ben, may I offer a clarification?
Of course, yeah.
It's 3 consecutive unexcused,
3 consecutive unexcused.
and then it can be considered for vacancy?
Yes. But it's not mandated by any means.
Correct.
Okay, so maybe I should just go through I think about 3 people who could potentially, be declared as vacant based on the standards and, then we can review it after that and, think it each one over. So it looks like we have, Abby Flores from the Hillsborough County Public Works Department.
She's present online.
Okay,
I'm here.
and then we have Carla Price.
She's retired.
Okay, so this was just not, this wasn't even put down as absent. Or,
Right.
but that's why it's coded pink, I'm sorry. And then, and I'm sorry, this probably was not the most professional way to go through each person, but, we, also have the Temple Terrace representative, for whatever reasons, just not been able to make any of the meetings in person.
I guess my question is, do we have to have representatives from all of these agencies? Like, if no one from the agency wants to come or be there, like, is there any mandate that says we have to have something in Temple Terrace, or we have to have someone from Plant City?
I'm not,
The bylaws list members, and besides Gina Torres, CPO staff, the bylaws currently have seats defined for each representative. So we would have to change the bylaws, or we could also, you could note somebody as vacant, a position is vacant, so it doesn't count against your quorum. And they would still remain as soon as somebody from that agency or someone that represents that group could fill that spot. So Claire, vacant, they wouldn't have to change the bylaws then.
Right, because I feel like it'd be beneficial just to declare seats vacant unless somebody from the city or from whatever agency really wants to be a part of, like, bicycle, pedestrian and bicycle advocacy in the county.
yeah,
I feel like it doesn't help our cause that, a lot of people just kind of show up for, they're here because they have to be here, and they're here because it's their job, and they just kind of like, never share any thoughts, never have any opinions, and don't actually do advocacy, so.
yeah, and I think it's important to point out, it's not a reflection on the individual, and, we all have other things that we have to attend to. And declaring a vacancy, it's not a comment on the person's character, it's just reducing our form requirements and, just clearing the water so that, we can open up the position for somebody who's interested, and who has the time to make that commitment.
I feel like we would be a stronger group if, people like wanted to be here rather than had to be here, and if people don't want to be here and don't want to, do what we're doing of advocacy, then, we're better off not to have them, is the reality.
Well, I don't think it's that difficult for people to call and let you know they're not gonna be able to be here. I mean, if they just don't show up, it doesn't show interest, frankly.
Yeah, so those are just some thoughts, but
I mean, I wouldn't kick them off without asking, but still.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what the process for getting them off.
I think you want to contact them first and find out if they're still interested,
Yeah,
and then encourage them to come to meetings or let you know when they can, or if they have an alternate or something. But it looks, with some of these, that they can't be particularly interested if they never show up.
right, yeah, exactly, and it makes our forum harder to meet, and if they don't want to be here, then, yeah.
Just think in the case of the city of Tampa, no contact has been here. Just let's declare that vacant, and then just notify the city that,
Yeah.
hey, this is, no one showed up, this position is vacant, so I'm filling for advise, let us know.
Well, I think the thing to do is to contact Carla's boss and say, are you gonna send somebody? I thought somebody was gonna take her place.
And same thing with Parks and Rec, Carlos Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Declare it vacant, and then you can, send a letter, contact,
yeah,
that department, we'll just support.
I think that's.
But John would know because he works there.
And I should,
John's like, I know nothing.
I should mention that I've already spoken with people from the city of Temple Terrace who
Yeah,
are already planning to nominate a replacement
okay,
if we choose to declare the Temple Terrace seat vacant. That's obviously the one with the most absences. And, it's just been a bit of a communication thing.
yeah, well, I say, just declare the seats absent that are absent, and if someone fills them, then great, and if not, then, it won't hurt us for the quorum.
Okay. I should ask that in the case of Carla who retired, do we need to declare that seat vacant, or is it already considered vacant?
I would think it'd be vacant if she's retired,
Makes sense to me, yeah.
Carl's been on this committee since forever.
but she retired back in May, I think.
Well, I guess
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I guess there's no harm in it because none of this is, again, it's not a
Can I
comment.
ask her if she wants to be a citizen of art?
right, yeah,
Well, I mean, do the bylaws hold 3 seats for the various departments of the city or not? Yes, that's
And if they.
exactly, I mean, Carla as an individual could become an at-large person if she was interested. But
She doesn't qualify to be
we've
a,
got three different departments of the city of Tampa represented here.
For a long time, we had transportation and parks, because we kind of had some overlaps, greenways. And then, like Vision Zero or Slash Planning, Paragraph, but they never coordinated with me whatsoever. They never knew a thing about it. I was 3 people away. And now there's so much attrition. Our Vision Zero guys going away, lunch was today, and other people have left, some of which has been interviewed.
yeah,
So I was told to stop coming, that's where the red is from. And then other people were supposed to go, and apparently since nobody showed up, I was told you're going back.
yeah.
You're stuck back in, I thought I was gone finally, since 2012, I was finally free. So I really don't know, I mean, I think it'd be a good question to ask the
Yeah,
director, like department, but if the planning, like, and want somebody.
yeah, I mean, where are people's minds at when it comes to changing the bylaws to change the composition of the BPAC and make it more like focused on towards citizens? Yeah, John?
This is Dr. Vicky. I would suggest that we reach out to the departments to see if they have a replacement and give them a month, offer up somebody else as a member. And then if not, then, we can look at trying to change the bylaws.
Yeah, I mean, I can just say that working on the Greenways Committee, we've done overhauls of our bylaws.
Took a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something to kind of engage lightly and,
Oh, okay.
or just,
Change it.
I would be opposed to just kind of cherry picking because of a particular problem that, I mean, if it hasn't been done in a while, it's probably a worthy exercise to kind of look at them all comprehensively and see if there are any that just, we found there was stuff we just weren't even doing for 10 years and they were still in there, so we got rid of them. Or we reminded ourselves that we need to start doing them again, but I wouldn't cherry pick it just to solve a specific problem.
So declaring vacancies here, does it require an action of this board or can you just handle it? Ben?
I think,
Because it is vacant according to our bylaws.
Expiration date.
I think it would be best for it to be an action or just a bare minimum to show,
Do you realize most of us have already expired?
What was it gonna tell you?
So I'd like to make a motion.
All right, and what's your motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we declare the seat for the city of Temple Terrace vacant and the seat for the city of Tampa also vacant. That's vacant. And follow up with the contact to those departments, those agencies on requesting a new person if they want to.
Do we have a second?
David Ellsworth, second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any opposed? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Alan. We'll go ahead and declare those seats vacant and have Ben reach out to them for us.
Okay,
For the duration of their vacancy, they don't count against
Yeah.
us for quorum.
Correct.
But
Until
they
they get
feel
the-
that we don't have to read and state the.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
Hi, you have a quorum requirement of, I believe, 9. So the number of your members doesn't actually count towards quorum at this point because you're not a half plus 1.
Is it
It's
like?
just a count of 9
fixed
people.
at 9?
Correct. I believe. Ben, if you scroll down on that sheet,
okay,
your quorum set number should be at the bottom of that sheet.
And that includes both people in person and online, right?
No.
Or
It
just
does
in
not,
person?
it does not include on a virtual attendance. It includes online only. Yes, your amended quorum as of 2021 is 9.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that piece. That helps us understand the situation. So, all right. Well, with that, I believe we can move on, right, Ben?
I think so. I just wanted to make sure that I understood the motion fully though. So we declared vacant, was it just all the seats that were not, that had more than 3 absences?
No, he said
Just two.
two specific Terrace seat and the Tampa Parks seat.
Temple Terrace, Tampa Parks. I just want to make sure I got the,
there another one?
I think,
I
there
think Alan
was,
just mentioned too.
yeah. All right, well, we can stick with that and I will just follow up the,
Are there any others that you would think we should vacate?
I just noticed a couple other people who had, wait, no, that's not 3 consecutive absences. I was counting badly. Yeah, I think we should just stick with this two.
Tampa planning, or I'm sorry, not planning, transportation, Kelly Guerin is no longer with the city of Tampa, so that's the only other thing.
Right.
But her alternate is still there, right?
Stephen
I
Benson.
believe so.
It might be worthwhile just to reach out to Steven.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
think so.
Either replace her or start coming.
You may not even.
Yeah.
And knows if she's left the police.
All right. Well, let's keep this moving.
Yeah, that's fair.
That was one.
So we have one more
Sounds like a
thing
plan.
to handle. And it's, right, considering a new membership at-large application. So unfortunately, the individual that we elected, I think back in October, it turned out that they moved recently, and so they just can't take up that position. Yeah, we had around 4 applicants, and now, one of them has moved. 2 of them are serving on other committees. And so that just leaves us with 1 applicant, Brandon Littleton. And so I'll pull her application up if you all would like to get it through.
Can I ask a bylaw question?
Yes,
So is the at-large seats just expandable? You can have as many as people show interest, or is there a set number?
no, I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly. I can pull it up. So
So what was this person
the number
considering
at
maybe
large
replacing someone?
that the,
It is, spots.
Okay. That's
So
it.
we're not considering, the person who moved away is not on this?
That's right. The only current applicant who could take up this position right now is Brandon Littleton.
But you said there was someone we considered a few months ago that's now moved away.
That's right.
They are not presently
They don't,
named on this chart with a line.
yes, I
They
remember.
never even came to a meeting
Oh,
or something.
They never took up the position.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. But
So-
we have capacity among the at-large seats to add someone.
Yes, we have 1 person who's eligible.
I'm talking about the seats, not the person.
so we have 1 seat,
Yeah, one seat, I'm sorry.
but he couldn't be here tonight.
I'm not aware of him being there online, but he did confirm with me that he can take the position.
Tony's involved.
Okay, so would you like to share his application with us a bit, or?
It's
Yeah.
in our,
I've got it on the screen right now. Yes, his name's Brandon, in Littleton, Olympia, Florida, works for Hat Associates. He's been living in Hillsborough County since August 2022.
can I say something? Half has been very involved with the Florida Greenways and Trails work.
Okay,
And he hasn't mentioned this on here, but they have done a lot of, in fact, whatever their former, whatever they used to be called, which I can't think of right now, helped them set up the Facebook page for Florida Greenways and Trails Foundation, but they're still very much involved and they've done a lot of work. So to have somebody local is probably good.
what, company, like, what do they do?
They're an engineering company. They build bicycle trails and they do all kinds of stuff. They did a great little thing in Tallahassee. The name of which I can't remember, but I can look at it tomorrow. Just also elsewhere,
Yeah, they're all across the country.
yeah, they're,
It sounds like he's interested in,
if he's interested, that's great.
yeah, in that area of design. Yeah,
Are these other two people we've determined they're ineligible for some reason that were in the package?
Yeah, I think there were 3 others in the package at least.
One from Gonzalez, Lachinaw.
I think the other two were serving on other boards, you said, or?
Yeah, CSC or, yeah,
can you only serve on one board?
only one at a time.
You mean,
With the TPO board.
what,
One.
TPO, not.
We know you're a professional board sitter.
Yeah, only one advisory committee.
This person realizes that they're applying for BPAC and not the local roadways, right? I'm just looking at that and says they're interested in local roadway stuff.
Yes, I reached out, clearly is under BPAC.
Okay.
Yeah, their initial application was the livable roadways and, we reached out since it was fall. Suggested they transfer the BPAC. Yeah, if anybody would like more time to read their application essay, they're a bit here.
All I had to see was half and I said, yes. No, really, they're doing something.
Sure. All right, Sally likes my life.
I was gonna see if we could ask him to attend next month's meeting and then make the motion if he shows up when we see a level of commitment from him.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I feel a little weird voting on.
That makes sense, because if he's interested, he'll show up. And then he becomes,
I guess have we.
We can vote on them any month, right?
Yes, I did. I invited him to attend this meeting and, share some speech if he wanted to. He just didn't confirm and,
that doesn't sound good.
he just said that he would like to serve. Yeah,
All right, well, tell him we'll vote him in next week.
Next month if he shows up.
Next month,
Whenever
yeah.
he cares to join us. It's-
okay, yeah.
I think that's,
That way you can. get special
Whenever you join it. Whenever he cares to join us, that's when we.
you have to worry about whether he's gonna show up. I
All
love
right.
this.
Ben, do you need a motion for that, or?
Seems like a good measure, just to formalize it.
Motion to accept him in the position. We're not quite doing that, are we?
Well, yeah, I know, I just need like a motion
Yeah,
to what you said, okay?
yeah, to delay it to next month, and he will either show up or maybe, what if he can't make the meeting, actually? Well, maybe we could just accept,
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to say, I would encourage him to come next month and present to us why he thinks he would be a good match for the
And
BPAC.
then we could vote to accept them or not based on this.
Is the procedure usually the person's here, so we get to hear them? I mean, we don't usually do it in absentia. So-
I don't think that's a requirement, but, especially when sometimes we have more candidates, but given that this is one person, it makes sense. I like this approach.
And I think the only time we've done it before when the person hasn't been there was when somebody knew, or knew why they couldn't be here or something,
Yeah.
but none of us know. Yeah.
So you made the motion, I'll second.
Never
We
did.
need to,
Dr. Vicky made the motion.
Can you repeat your motion?
Yes, the motion that Dr. Vicky is setting forth is that we encourage Brandon to attend next month's meeting. At that point, we will ask him some questions and look for his interest and we will then vote if he would join our committee.
Chair Corcoran, I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, yeah, the motion passes. We'll postpone that for a month. So, all right, Ben, is that it for
I think so.
B?
Yes, I'm just setting up the next presentation real quick. Let's see. Oh, okay.
All right, then we can go ahead and move on to the 2050 plan needs assessment for freight and goods movement in Hillsborough County truck route plan. By Lauren Brooks.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, and can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, again, I'm Lauren Brooks. I'm a senior transportation planner with AECOM. I served as the consultant project manager for this particular assignment. I have Larissa Krinos, my coworker, on the line as well. She was kind of the brains behind the operation, so I brought her along to answer any difficult technical questions. So this presentation, just giving you a heads up, it's jam-packed with information, so just bear with me. I'll try to be as concise as possible because I know you have a lot more to get to on your agenda. So we'll quickly go through kind of the setup, our approach, the findings, and then of course we'll focus on the two particular topics that pertain specifically to the long-range transportation plan, and then of course end with the recommended action. So I know freight and truck routes are not the sexiest of topics, but they are extremely important. They are critical in terms of sustaining the quality of life for Hillsborough County residents, the economic vitality of our local and regional economies. Both Hillsborough County residents and businesses depend on freight and goods movement for their day-to-day needs and operations. Freight or goods movement is kind of considered the system, if you will. So everything from the shipment, circulation, and receiving of products, where truck routes are considered kind of the distribution arteries of that system. So they really connect the freight activity and hubs to those businesses and residents. Truck routes are also important in the sense that they preserve personal mobility by designating where we want trucks to be accommodated. So this assignment actually involved two efforts simultaneously. So we updated the Hillsborough County truck route plan while also kind of looking at goods movement needs across the entire county. So for the truck route portion of the plan, or for this assignment, we really looked at how the designated truck routes were performing today. Are they performing as intended? Is there opportunity to maybe exclude or improve the network? And then looking at all those other roads that support the truck routes, again, are there hindrances in those roads in terms of getting freight to those truck routes, or is there opportunity to maybe add some of these roads to the truck route network? And of course, we did this all through the lens of preserving safety, quality of life goals, and neighborhood context. So to try to take a consistent approach and really hone in on what we were trying to seek in terms of our analysis, we thought it would be a good idea to kind of separate the entire roadway network of Hillsborough County into three sub-networks, if you will. So we everything that was a designated Hillsborough County truck route was one sub-network. And then any road that was not part of the truck route network, but that was owned or maintained by Hillsborough County became its own sub-network. And then every other road, again, not part of the truck route system, but that was owned or maintained by a municipality, the Florida Department of Transportation, the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority, became the third sub-network. We also excluded all of the limited access facilities. So the 3 interstates, the Veterans Expressway, the I-4 connector, facilities of those magnitude, because those are considered kind of like the principal arterials, if you will, of goods movement and accommodating trucks. So in our eyes, those were kind of, we dubbed those as the preserved network. So we excluded those just for the analysis per portion only, so our results wouldn't be skewed. We also thought it would be a good idea to come up with a common definition for the word truck, because truck means different things to different folks. So we said any motorized vehicle that had more than 2 axles, and that was a class 6 through class 13 vehicle, was a truck. And we used the Federal Highway Administration's 13 vehicle category classification as our guide. All right, so now we'll kind of jump into the approach and findings. So we had 4 major inputs in terms of establishing the framework for this particular assignment. So the first one was seeking input from the freight operators. So we interviewed public and private entities to get their perspective in terms of efficiencies and hindrances to goods movement within Hillsborough County. We then, of course, wanted to hear from the residents. So we actually launched a MetroQuest survey for about a month and had residents weigh in. So we asked them to prioritize those truck routing issues that had the greatest impact on their day-to-day lives. We asked them where those particular issues were occurring. And then we asked them, how would you like the TPO to kind of prioritize in addressing those particular issues? We then also looked at Hillsborough County collects, of course, complaints through their report an issue or report a concern database. So we actually received 2 years worth of comments through that particular database. We sifted through those comments just to get those related to truck routing issues. So we noted all of those. We additionally attended various neighborhood group meetings, and then also piggybacked on those meetings that the Planning Commission held as part of their update to the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. And last but not least, we reviewed an extensive list of data sets. This is just a snapshot of some of those data sets that were analyzed and accounted for as part of our overall approach. And really, the data kind of served as the foundation for our whole analysis. So again, snapshot of some of those data sets. So with that extensive list of data sets, we decided to organize them into 2 different categories. So existing freight network factors and freight related performance factors. And I'll show you those in a minute. We also established evaluation criteria, which was really our way of combining the different factors and applying them to those 3 different subnetworks, if you will. So the yellow highlighted are those existing freight network factors, and then everything else was kind of a freight related performance factor. But we took it a step further by also categorizing the different data sets or factors into freight attractors and freight detractors. So freight attractors were any element that was more favorable in terms of accommodating freight activity or truck movement. And then, of course, freight detractors were those elements that were less favorable for freight activity. So these are the different sets of evaluation criteria. Again, there were 3 sets. The first two, of course, were focused on the different sub-roadway networks, if you will. So again, the truck route evaluation criteria really focused in on those truck routes, and are there any that are performing lower than expected? You know, are there potential areas for improvement within that truck route network? And then, of course, looking at the rest of the Hillsborough County roadway network and seeing if there were opportunities to maybe move or designate some of those roads to be part of the truck route network, or were there roads within the network that could be improved to, again, help support the truck route network. The project impact evaluation criteria, this particular set of evaluation criteria actually pertain to the project, so I'll speak more about that, this particular set of evaluation criteria in a little bit. So just to orient you quick, all of the red lines on the map are either the existing truck routes, Hillsborough County truck routes, or those routes that were considered part of our preserved system, if you will. So the I-4 connector is a good example. While it wasn't on the original Hillsborough County truck route network because it was built after the plan, we considered that part of the preserved system because, again, it's one of those major arterials in terms of accommodating freight and truck traffic. The purple lines on the map are those Hillsborough County owned or maintained roads that kind of bubble to the top in terms of either having higher truck traffic, or they were in areas with freight activity. The green are those other roads that, again, kind of bubble to the top in terms of, you know, same factors, having high truck volumes, or were in an area where there was freight activity. And then the dashed lines on the map are actually those roads or road segments of the Hillsborough County truck route network that surfaced as being, you know, lower performing. So meaning like they had 50 trucks or less per day. They were in an area where, you know, maybe things have changed and there's not as much freight activity anymore. So anyway, these are kind of the roads that we assessed a little bit further. So to, you know, approach everything in a systematic, consistent manner, assessing all of those factors consistently, assessing all of the sub-roadway networks consistently, we decided to apply an unweighted score, you know, numeric score of 1, 2, 3, you know, keep it simple, you know, across the board to, you know, across all the individual freight attractors and detractors, as well as the composite score. So to summarize, any factor or project receiving, or I'm sorry, road receiving a higher freight attractor score meant, again, the conditions were more favorable for accommodating freight activity or truck movement. And then, of course, a lower score meant less favorable. And then, of course, the converse was true for those freight detractors. So anything that had a higher score in this particular area meant, you know, less favorable conditions. And then, of course, a lower score meant more favorable. So I'll quickly review some of our findings. So for those lower performing truck routes, if you will, a lot of them were actually in areas with few freight detractors. So that's a good thing. You know, they were kind of where they were supposed to be, if you will. We did notice that there were segments of County Road 672 and Sims Road that, you know, they were part of this lower performing truck route network, but they did have quite a few sensitive features and comments received from the MetroQuest survey, as well as through that database, that report and issue database. So maybe there's opportunity to delve into these a little bit more and see if they should remain as part of the truck route network. The lower portion of Dale Mabry Highway and Inner Bay, those also were identified as part of the lower performing route system. However, we recommend that they be retained as part of the truck route network because again, they provide, very important access to MacDill Air Force Base as well as a fuel depot or terminal that's off of Inner Bay Boulevard. And then there are numerous truck routes within downtown Tampa. Practically every road in downtown Tampa is a designated truck route. So there's opportunity, I think, to really hone in and focus on where we want trucks to occur and to be accommodated within downtown Tampa. So I think we can be a little bit more strategic in that particular area. So the first bullet for those county roads that were identified and those other roads that were identified as maybe potentially being added to the truck route network because of their high truck volumes and or being in an area with lots of freight activity. These first bullets are the same in the sense that I mentioned before, facilities like the I-4 connector, the West Shore interchange ramps that connect Memorial Highway to the airport, those were not captured as part of the original truck route plan. So we think, again, because they're all part of those important principal arterial corridors, that they should go ahead and be added. There's also opportunity for Air Cargo Road within the Drew Park area. It's to potentially be added to the truck route network in the sense that it parallels West Shore Boulevard in Drew Park, but West Shore Boulevard in that area actually has a gap. It's not a complete north-south corridor. So again, maybe it makes more sense to make air cargo the prominent truck route in that area because it is a complete north-south roadway. There are also areas within the county that had truck routes 1 or more miles apart. So of course, this is leading to trucks cutting through neighborhoods. So I think there's opportunities to maybe revisit those areas, kind of do maybe more of a sub-area network study and assess opportunity of maybe expanding the truck route network there or again, kind of revisiting how it's established or designated. So again, as I mentioned, the first bullet of this particular sub network, it's similar to the one I just went over before. These particular connections were not part of the original truck route plan, so we recommend that they be added. There's also, we noticed some differences between what the city of Tampa, for instance, has designated as a truck route versus what Hillsborough County has designated as part of their truck route network. So there's opportunity, I think, to reconcile some of those slight differences in what roads should be designated. And then I already mentioned there's areas where maybe the truck route network could be expanded, but there's definitely opportunity to maybe provide redundant or additional access to the major freight hubs in our community, such as Tampa International Airport, Port of Tampa Bay, of course, and the CSX rail yard. All right, so now I'll get into those particular elements that pertain specifically to the long-range transportation plan. So we reviewed multiple plans to identify projects within those plans. So of course, the Hillsborough TPO 2045 Long Range Transportation Plan, the Hillsborough TPO Transportation Improvement Program, the FDOT Work Program. So in reviewing all those plans, we identified those projects where we thought they could address either safety or the efficiency of freight movement. We excluded all of those major capacity projects. Road widenings or new interchanges, as those are captured under the major projects program, which I know Wade will discuss in a minute after my presentation. So again, just to avoid overlap. We also, if the particular plans had a cost identified for that particular project, we included that cost. Where there were not costs, we looked at other similar projects that had been built within either Hillsborough County itself or the Florida Department of Transportation District 7 area, which includes Hillsborough County, to come up with a reasonable planning level cost. So with all that being said, once we had our extensive list of projects, we then went in and divided them up into 3 tiers. So any project that was funded within the first 5 years of a plan, so meaning if it was in the Hillsborough Transportation Planning Organization TIP, otherwise the Transportation Improvement Program, or if it was in the Florida Department of Transportation Work Program, those were considered our baseline projects. Then any project that had a lower cost associated with it, along with a lower time frame, if you will, meaning it could be built quicker, so to speak, that became part of the tier 1 level. So those particular projects kind of included signage, signal timing, intersection, minor intersection reconfigurations, those types of projects. And then tier 2 were kind of those more expensive projects with a longer time horizon. So there were I guess, multiple individual projects that really pertain to 2 main projects, if you will. And those 2 main projects are I-275 widening and interchange improvements and the Gandy Bridge replacement. So going back to the project impact evaluation criteria that I shared earlier. So again, once we had our projects into those different tiers, we also went in and looked, I guess we evaluated the effectiveness of the project, like how well would the project address, again, freight efficiency or freight safety issues. So these are the different factors that we looked at. And again, we applied the unweighted 1, 2, 3 numerical score threshold, if you will, across the board in terms of evaluating these particular factors. So then once we had our composite score, again, we normalized this into our 1, 2, 3 general categories. And then we also did the same thing with project costs. We divided those into 3 tiers and assigned, a 1, 2, 3 threshold. And this allowed us to then compare the investment with the cost to then determine if we were basically getting the biggest bang for our buck with the project. So any investment that scored a 1.5 or higher, so the green, that meant it was most cost effective. Anything that scored a 1 was moderately cost effective, and then anything that scored under 1 was considered least cost effective. So, with the goods movement needs assessment, we feel that it's complete and ready to move on to the TPO board. Also with the Hillsborough County Truck Route Plan, it's at a good spot in terms of moving on to the Hillsborough TPO board. However, for the plan to continue and to be complete by the Hillsborough County BOCC for their approval, the corresponding ordinance is going to need to be updated, so we recognize that. And we also recognize, again, that there are areas of opportunity, if you will, that need to be explored a little bit further with extensive community outreach, doing more of a focused sub-area evaluation, if you will, to determine whether or not a road could potentially be added to the truck route network or removed from the truck route network. But again, those particular facilities that were associated with those principal or preserved corridors, if you will, we do recommend that they go ahead and be added to the truck route network. So with that, our recommended action tonight is that the TPO board receive the goods movement needs assessment and the truck route plan update for approval. And I will take any questions. I know that was a lot to probably digest.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
This is Chris Fellerhoff with Hillsborough County. You mentioned at the outset that context classification was one of the factors you considered. Did you use the DOT context classification or the county's context classification for that analysis?
We used all. We used DOT where, you know, if it was a DOT road, we used the Hillsborough County context classification and the city's context classification. I
Okay.
thought we had that defined here, but it's defined in our plan.
Okay. And then a couple times you were just talking about facilities that were underperforming, and you described it as like that is determined by kind of a lack of use by trucks. Is that correct? Or are there other factors?
Yeah, that was kind of the initial cut if they had lower truck route or truck volumes, excuse me. But we also looked at the freight activity within the area. So if it was in a freight activity area that was had a lower score, and again compiled with the lower truck volumes, then like I said, then it was kind of considered maybe it's lower performing and not where it should be, so to speak, geographically, if that made sense.
So if something were underperforming in that way, means it's the present kind of flow of goods is not needing to use that one, is not observed to be using that. So that could be a candidate for removal and
Correct.
replacement with something else. Okay. Is there a what's the practical impact of a road being on, and I'm thinking about relevance to this group's interest. What's the practical impact of a road being on the truck route network in terms of kind of geometric factors or design factors that could impact bicycle and pedestrian accommodation? I mean, I'm thinking, does a truck route need wider lanes that are going to be protected at all costs? Does a truck route need larger intersections and larger turning radii that will be protected at all costs and could come into conflict with accommodating bikes and peds in some scenarios?
I mean, the answer to your question is yes. Trucks obviously need to be able to navigate. So if they're in an area where the turning radii isn't appropriate, obviously they can roll on sidewalks and where they can be in places where you don't want them to be. Right. So I think that's kind of the purpose of this exercise, is to see where there's opportunities. Like if a road is 6 lanes, it's there's already high truck volumes on that road, but it's not designated as a truck route, then maybe that's where we want the trucks to go, as opposed to the 2-lane road where there's now a ton of residential development along it, and more pedestrian and bicycle activity. Maybe that's why we want to maybe say, hey, let's designate this other parallel facility as a truck route, not, keep the truck route here on this particular facilities.
Right. So an underperforming road coming off the map could actually be an opportunity for the biker ped improvement corridor. Conversely, a new corridor could be a place that we would want to pay attention to if we also anticipate a kind of a critical bike ped need in there. We'd probably want to offer input on any changes.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's why I think we were doing this analysis at such a large scale, the entire county. But I think what really needs to happen is kind of do those closer sub area networks really focus in, and for that very reason. really kind of get down into some of the details of the road design, what's happening here specifically in terms of bicycle pedestrian improvements or different developments. I mean, we looked at all that kind of at a macro scale, but I think there's a need to do everything on a micro scale.
You mentioned some safety considerations at some point,
Mm-hmm.
but did that overlap with considering the high injury network or any other like of the Vision Zero initiatives and hotspots or anything like that?
So we looked at the truck-related fatal or serious crashes, and then we asked the question about, does the project improve safety or reduce truck-related crashes? I don't know if Larissa can unmute, but maybe she can provide a little more insight regarding the crash data. Larissa, are you on?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I just want to get wrapping up and moving on to the next one. So I was just wondering, could you kind of coordinate with her?
Yeah.
Because I know, isn't this a county sponsored, county paid for study?
I guess it's an element of the TPO.
Or
long
it's
range
a
plan,
TPO thing?
So it is TPO funded. While we were doing the 2050 freight and goods movement needs assessments, there were some enforcement issues with the current truck route plan and ordinance. So we made the offer to update that at the same time as part of this study.
Because doesn't, I know FDOT has like their SIS system, SIS.
It's strategic intermodal system, yes, sir.
Yeah, how is that like? You guys coordinate with that? Is this like in addition to that, or is this like the foundation of the SIS?
So those are largely on state roads, principally the interstates is the SIS, as well as some other ones, portions of Dale Mabry and some other areas. Those are the really backbone spine of the freight system, particularly accessing the places like the port and the airport. The county routes are typically county and city routes. The local roadways are typically a little bit more secondary to the SIS. But freight does need to move along those routes as well as the SIS, I guess, would be the second part of it.
John?
John Trubicki, I was just gonna make a quick note of, for consideration of things coming on or falling off of the truck routes. On-street bike facilities, being one of those things to consider. And then another one would be the bike and pet crashes, would be something else to try to consider when making those decisions.
Yeah, and just, I don't want to belabor it too much, but just so we understand kind of how this impacts what we're charged with looking at. If you look at just kind of truck related crashes, and maybe this isn't the place to look at it, but if we're going to modify the roads to be more accommodating to trucks, the truck crashes aren't the only ones that are going to possibly change. In that if you make a road bigger and better for trucks, speeds will increase, crossing distances will be longer. And so you may start to see other crashes that don't necessarily involve trucks, but you've created an environment in which those other crashes could occur. So it's just, I don't know if there's anything specific in this study that would really get into that, but kind of as this works its way through, that's something this committee should probably just always be vigilant for, is that, we need to make sure that adjustments to the accommodations to truck traffic, which is essential to society, comes in tandem with, figuring out where the displaced pedestrians might then go if a road is no longer amenable to them or something like that. Just points for larger consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like our recommendation to you, Lauren, would be to, make sure we're not expanding this beyond what is the actual need. Just with knowing that there's going to be implications to, longer crosswalks, larger crossing distance that have to take place because of the larger radii. We definitely aren't in favor of large radius and very wide lanes, because that means fast drivers, dangerous roadways, dangerous for bike and pedestrians. So I think that would be our comment to you, is to get what you need, but don't, you know, just do what you need. Don't do more than you need for the sake of people cycling and walking out on our roadways.
Sure, no, absolutely. And again, our recommendation is to do, like I said, more of these micro sub-area studies to kind of really get into those particular issues. But we can certainly make a note of, you know, I I think we already do, but I'll make sure it's in there. But to for the next kind of phase, if you will, when assessing these particular you know, routes to account for, you know, bicycle pedestrian activity, the potential crashes and, you know, all the stuff you just mentioned. So I mean, I'm a transportation planner, so I love all modes and, you know, having all modes be harmonious and work together is kind of my mission. So.
Okay, all right, well, I appreciate that. Think
Chair?
we're ready to make a motion?
Chair, you do have a hand raised online from Peter
Oh,
David.
okay. All right, Peter, go ahead. Peter, you with us?
Here.
All right, well, I think the hand went down. All right, do we have a motion for this?
Can we see the
There's
requested motion?
right.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
there it is.
So that's for the board to receive this tech memo and the update of the route. I will move that BPAC recommend that the board receive this tech memo and the truck route plan for approval.
I'm sure I second that motion.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. All right, hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you all for your time tonight. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, we got Wade Reynolds up next with the 2050 plans need assessment for major projects. Just staff
This will be
report.
what, a half an hour?
5-10 minutes tops. So I'll keep it quick for you.
Joking.
I know.
Well, maybe not.
All right. Let's see if that catches up with us. There we go. Good evening, everybody. Wade Reynolds, Hillsborough CPO. Just talking to you about the 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan needs assessment for major projects. So the sources of these projects that we are considering. It is a combination of requests from the various jurisdictions, that is the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, Temple Terrace, Plant City, the Expressway Authority, FDOT, and the port and the airport would be and Hart. But the port and the airport, I don't believe we've received any requests as part of this for, but there are adjacent requests. Existing local priorities that are already in the LRTP and the TIP. We have a number of priorities in table 2 on the TIP that are currently not funded, but those are still every year up for reevaluation. Regional priorities through the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance, the SPTPA, and the TMA, the Transportation Management Area, which is Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough. And the FDOT Strategic Intermodal System Plan looking out to 2050, and the FDOT non-strategic intermodal system projects looking out to 2050, which I actually received an update today on that. So the 2045 cost feasible projects, these are part, I'm sorry, this is taking a little bit of a lag in here. So I'm looking at a map, but you are not. There we go. The 2045 cost feasible projects included a number of projects. You can see all the projects along the interstates. That would be I-4, I-275, and I-75. Projects on US 92, the Veterans, Loose Lake Fern Road, 19th Avenue, Big Bend Road, US 41, Lithia Pine Crest, State Road 60, and the Summit Expressway, as well as the Gandy Bridge. So some of these will fall off because they've been completed. For example, the Paseo El Mar extension of Apollo Beach Boulevard. And I believe there's at least one, the Howard Franklin Bridge, which is under construction and fully funded. Portions of I-275 as that project wraps up on the south end. And some of the interchange that's shown here as the brown diamonds. Moving on to the CIS projects, which I'll give it a second to come up on the screen. There we go. You can see that this is the wider District 7 region. We're looking here at the interstates largely, as well as US 92, the Gandy Bridge, the West Shore interchange, and State Road 60, as well as State Road 54 in Pasco has a project. So those are the larger interstate projects. Those, for example, on I-75 could be managed lanes, and each of these colors represents the various stages: construction, right-of-way acquisition, preliminary engineering, and project development and environmental, or PD&E. Then, as we went out to the jurisdictions, sorry, I'll give that another minute to come up. As we went out to the jurisdictions, we developed a number of potential projects based on this. The survey you will see after this, I need to update this graphic because one or two of these have dropped off because they had been studied in the past. They may still end up being part of the LRTP though. Just to go through these lines really quick, we have the an additional span on the Gandy Bridge under potential study, managed lanes on 275, although not the portion of 275 north of downtown, managed lanes on I-4 and I-75, a potential extension of the Selman Expressway along US 301 down to Big Bend Road, potential widenings of Lithia Pinecrest, State Road 60, County Road 39, County Road 674, US 92, the northernmost portion of the Veterans Expressway. And there are three yellow diamonds that you may be able to see on here. One is a potential interchange to study at 275 and US 41. One is a potential interchange near Harney Road and I-75, that Harney Road 301 I-75 area. One is a potential new interchange south of the Little Manatee River on I-75, so just north of the county line near Manatee County. The green lines, starting with the one that goes all the way from Pasco County to Manatee County, that is requested by Manatee County. That's a potential Bradenton to Brooksville transit project using either US 41 or the CSX tracks that are largely adjacent to US 41. The one going down the South Tampa Peninsula along the Selman Expressway is a proposed project that is part of the city of Tampa's recent grant to study several transit projects. That would look additionally at the CSX rail along the Selman there, going down to Old Port Tampa City, I should say. The 50th, 56th Street, which ends at Bloomingdale. Here, we've actually done a little bit of a route change that now uses Causeway to go out to Brandon, but that would come up 56th Street to the university. We have the gosh, which one is that? The Fowler, Florida to downtown BRT, Bus Rapid Transit Project. And we have the East-West Bus Rapid Transit Project, which is basically the Net Park Center to the airport. So I realize that's kind of a tangle of green lines, but that's what they largely mean. And then just the other source of these projects for consideration as far as the LRTP is the table 2, which are always priorities for new funding. This is just an example page off of that. There are several pages. This is priorities number 92 through 95. So the next steps in this process, we will model those new projects in the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Model. We will compare those against previously considered projects. And then we will also survey those in our MetroQuest survey, which we'll be hearing about next. We will narrow down that list based on public input and the project performance in the regional planning model. And then the hard part is determining the funding levels and then determining the cost feasible projects based on that. Just a quick note, the cost feasible last time was based on the passage of the All for Transportation surtax, which had been passed at that time. That was found to not be legal and it was overturned, as you all know. So the cost feasible plan is largely going to consider a smaller pool of money and potentially have fewer projects than the 2045 plan. There will also be some questions in the survey that ask you about funding as well as these major projects. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. We plan on bringing this back to you in the April-ish timeframe for your additional consideration. And we hope you will help spread the survey, which we'll hear about next, which asks about many of these projects far and wide.
Wait. Questions for him?
This is, has there been any news or anything about what's gonna happen with that money?
There's been talk about it.
I haven't heard anything lately.
Our understanding is that that there has been conversation in Tallahassee about it, that there is a desire for it to be spent in Hillsborough County. How that happens and what the mechanism is for it, the legislature is in session, so maybe they will have some guidance. But that is the understanding, is that it's going to be spent in Hillsborough County. Just as a round numbers exercise, that's about $500 million. Just to take the example of Lithia Pinecrest, that widening could be about $200 million. So you could get sort of 2.5 of those widenings out of that kind of money. So it sounds like a lot of money, but they are expensive projects.
Is there any say bicycle network planning as far as major projects?
To get much deeper.
That'd be nice if, we throw billions of dollars at the interstate. It'd be nice to package a project together to build a bicycle network.
The major projects are largely determined based on the price of those. Most of our trails projects are low in cost, although I grant you, if we consider the entire bypass canal trail, that would potentially get to a major project. But the funding sources for those, we do not have the major project type of funding sources for our trail networks. Having said that, as with many roadway expansions, you do see the provision of those facilities in tandem with them. So there might be possibilities for that to be included.
So I'd say that certain buckets of money can only be used for certain things.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, if Lithia Pinecrest is a candidate that does have a side path as part of its proposed typical sections, which is a corridor that is going to be in the updated Greenway plan. That would serve one of our, it wouldn't just be a side path on that road. It would be collinear with one of our potential main corridors too.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Well, thank you all, and we look forward to bringing this back to you. Yes, sir.
No, listen online.
All right, up next, I believe we've got the Gibsonton Drive from Fern Hill Drive to 301 PD&E. I believe we've been informed we're postponing the 2050 plan outreach.
Then apologies, you won't be hearing about that survey tonight. That was my mistake.
Are you leaving too? You're not going to go.
Oh, that's what it was. Sorry, I'm actually out.
Oh, the wrong thing.
That's right.
Okay. You guys online see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Good evening. Thank you guys for having us today. My name is Ashley Henkel. I'm with the Florida Department of Transportation. I'm the DOT project manager for this Gibsonton Drive PD&E study. With me tonight is Kirk Bogan, our management engineer, and Jeff Novotny, our consultant. Yeah. So tonight I'm going to go through our PD&E study. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. All right, so tonight I'm going to present to you our PD&E study for Gibsonton Drive. So the Florida Department of Transportation, DOT, in coordination with Hillsborough County, is conducting a PD&E study for Gibsonton Drive from Fern Hill Drive to US 301. We are here to update the TPO committees in advance of a public hearing we'll be holding on February 20th. Gibsonton Drive is a Hillsborough County roadway. The length of the project is just under 1 mile. The existing roadway has 4 travel lanes, 2 in each direction. There are existing sidewalks on both sides, except for a small gap at Kenda Drive. The existing right-of-way width varies throughout the corridor from 125 to 150 feet. The no-build alternative, which involves only routine maintenance, will remain a viable alternative during the PD&E study. The purpose of this project is to address future roadway capacity issues as well as improve safety conditions. Gibsonton Drive exhibits crash rates which are higher than the statewide average for similar state facilities. The project will also provide improved mobility for pedestrian and bicyclists along the corridor. Expanding Gibsonton Drive from 4 to 6 lanes is consistent with the cost feasible portion of the 2045 Hillsborough County TPO's long-range transportation plan. There are no future phases for design, right-of-way, or construction funded in the current 5-year work program. Through coordination with Hillsborough County staff, the preferred alternative includes widening Gibsonton Drive from 4 to 6 lanes with a 22-foot wide median. There will be 2 11-foot and 1-foot travel lanes in each direction with curb and gutter and a 10-foot sidewalk on each side of the roadway. The road widening was shifted to minimize right-of-way requirements, impacts, and costs. Intersection improvements along Gibsonton Drive at US 301 are included with the proposed improvements. One new off-site stormwater management site and one new floodplain compensation site are proposed to accommodate the proposed improvements. The preferred alternative connects to the future construction of the Gibsonton Drive at I-175 interchange, which is currently under design by DOT as work program item segment number 437652-2. Up to 30 feet of additional right-of-way is required along the north side of Gibsonton Drive, and up to 7 feet of additional right-of-way is needed on the south side, just west of US 301. The preliminary concepts will be available and shown on aerial boards at the public hearing, as well as available on the website prior to the hearing. The project team evaluated environmental effects in the alternative analysis. The project alternatives were evaluated for impacts on natural and cultural resources and on the social and physical environments. There are no significant impacts to natural or cultural resources, contamination sites, and noise abatement is not feasible or cost reasonable. To accommodate the roadway widening and anticipated off-site stormwater and floodplain compensation sites, acquisition of additional right-of-way is anticipated. 20 parcels may be affected, 18 of those partially affected, and 2 full parcels impacted, which will include 3 potential residential relocations and 1 potential business relocation. The evaluation matrix compares the right-of-way acquisition requirements, environmental impacts, and costs of the preferred build alternative to the no-build alternative. As noted, there are no significant impacts to natural, physical, or cultural resources with the preferred alternative. The preliminary cost of the project, including design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction phases, is just over $38 million in today's costs. After the public hearing, the study team will gather, review, and consider all public input and update the project evaluation. The draft study documents will be updated and submitted to FDOT's Office of Environmental Management. We anticipate location and design concept approval by September 2024. I mean, not September, summer 2024. The public hearing for this project is scheduled for February 20th from 5:30 to 7:30 with a formal portion starting at 6:30. The in-person session will be at the Riverview Public Library, which is just off the corridor. A virtual session will be held at the same time and on the same day. You can visit the project website to register for the virtual session, and you'll be sent to a GoToWebinar link. Comments received by March 1st will become part of the public hearing record. Draft study documents and materials will be available at the library, at FDOT office, and the project website until March 1st. You can find out more information about the project, view the public hearing materials before the sessions, register for the GoToWebinar, and visit the project website shown here. You can also scan that QR code to take you directly to the project website. Or you can contact myself, Ashley Hensel, the DOT project manager, if you have any additional questions. And I can also take any of your questions tonight.
Any questions for Ashley?
Yeah, Len Watson. Your preferred build alternative showed a 10-foot sidewalk for bicyclists and pedestrians.
Right.
Your other alternatives look at multi-use path or separated bike.
We, in coordination with Hillsborough County, we removed the bike lanes from the roadway and included them in a wide sidewalk as 10-foot sidewalks on both sides. And in lieu of providing a shared use path on one side or the other.
Okay, so it won't be designed with shared use path criteria.
It is a 10-foot wide sidewalk.
Okay, got it. Okay. Are you gonna have transit on the corridor?
We do have transit. I believe we have a bus stop.
Yes, Jeff Novotny. There are a number of parked bus stops along the way, along the corridor. Those to be preserved, and then into the design phase, coordination with HART in terms of, are those the best locations for the future? That would be one of those elements to work out during design, but HART does have bus route that currently runs along.
So would that be a reasoning for the 12-foot lane on the outside?
Yeah, 12-foot lane, we wanted to do in the coordination with the county, do what we can to control speed. So wanted to minimize the lane widths where we could, but recognizing both transit use as well as 8% trucks use the route. And those outside lanes serve as a connection really to the interstate ramps on both sides. That would be most appropriate to have that 12-foot outside lane for that, but still use a form and minimize 11-foot lane width for the rest of it. And another reason to take the bike lanes off of the road and keep the bike users as well as the bikes more protected. What we tried to do is to separate that 10-foot sidewalk as much as we can from the roadway. So providing several feet of buffer in between, with the exception of where we're right up against the right turn lane. But in most cases, trying to keep it as far away as we can.
Right. I guess, could you go back to that typical section?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up. It's just a little slow.
Yeah, so that 22-foot median there, was there any consideration done to make that smaller? Because that way you could, get the sidewalk further away from the roadway and make it a more pleasant, livable experience next to that probably 50-mile-an-hour traffic.
Yeah, the existing median width is 22 feet. So it retains what's there today. The other element is providing left turn lanes where we have a signalized intersection, as well as where we have some directional median openings to provide some offset.
Okay, so you need the 22 feet for what, a dual left turn lane?
It'd be a single left. It does get wider at US 301. We're proposing dual lefts on both sides of the 301 intersection.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit wider in that area.
But we do also have median opening, so people can cross the road and make the right move turns, so.
Okay, I guess like in areas where you just have a single lane, you could probably get by with less median width there. So I guess, if that were possible, because it sounds like you are moving curb lines here, so it's like whether you do widening to the inside or the outside, would that be kind of still, possible?
Yeah, and part of it is looking at ways that we can offset those left turns so that you can see better beyond the opposing left turn on the other side. 24 feet allows us to kind of send the left turn closer to the opposing lane as opposed to sticking with the lane that it's at, and then provides a little more visibility. Two of the fatal crashes that occurred out of the 910 crashes, 2 were fatal crashes. Both were left turn crashes. So providing better visibility for those left turns where they do occur is one of the things we're trying to accomplish. And the 22-foot median is within the standards for the second facility as well. So, but good point taken.
Okay, yeah, I guess where you're not creating sight distance and safety hazards for left turning drivers, it'd be great if you could, use that right of way space to create more separation between the sidewalk and the roadway. Yeah, something to look into for you guys, I think.
Sure.
Should. Anyone else have any questions or comments for them? All right, and then as far as making those 10-foot sidewalks into shared use path criteria, is that something that's not doable because of, right of way constraints or geometry or?
Yeah, it was mainly right of way constraints. We're going to 12-foot shared use paths. Not only are we 2 feet wider, so we'd have additional right of way.
You could do a 10-foot shared use path. That's our criteria.
We have then offsets from the roadway that we have to meet, and it would push the shared use path further away from the roadway. So those are elements that then work into more potential relocations, or certainly right of way impacts as well. So that was one of the elements of as we were coordinating with the county staff settled at 10 foot wide being probably the best of both worlds in terms of providing, wider space that we could. So,
Yeah, I'm just thinking for like, since we're gonna put cyclists there as well, we don't want like right angles. When you're coming into, say, an intersection or, gonna cut across a driveway. Definitely try to make that sidewalk as smooth as you can to kind of,
right.
you know.
And fortunately, this section doesn't have a whole lot of driveway access. There's so many more side streets than there are specific individual driveways. Yes.
Addressing that issue of making the whole thing wider, is there any consideration to narrowing the median from 22 feet to say 18 feet?
Yes.
Yeah, we just discussed that at length there, so, yeah, I feel like you guys had addressed that one.
Great input.
Okay, anybody else? All right, well, thank you guys very much. We wish the best of luck with you on your project.
Thank you. Thanks, please come out to either virtually or in person.
Yeah, it'd be neat to see it, designed in a roll plot kind of way, so.
And it will be online also, so you can check it out.
Okay. All right, try to incorporate our comments. All right, so I think that does it for us for the status reports. So I think we can go ahead and adjourn, if I'm not mistaken, Ben. Yep.
Jim Shark, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Got a second, Sally? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, I don't think anyone's opposed. All right. Good meeting, everyone.
Thank you, Tim and Jim, for serving.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, year now. Then you're gonna have to face an election. This is the coronation.
Oh, you. I just. That's not here.
Yeah, blindsided. He got him.
I won't make it to April Day. It's not a question.
I guess, but still.
Yeah, I know, it's just.
So you're responsible for everything else.
Yeah.
There's nobody,
Just kidding.
there's nobody else.
It's like total lack of.
Oh, right.
Sounds like nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So how many people are in the parking lot? Because we have
No, I'm aware it's, work progress.
Oh,